Hi everyone, my name is Alexander Wijayanto. In this opportunity, I would like to present my thesis named Digital versus Non-Digital Induction Training, a study on 5S material effectiveness for new recruits at CV Karya Hidup Sentosa. This was made by me and with the guidance of my lecturer, Mr. Rangga Almahendra. So, a bit of the research background. So, technological progress and development offer new opportunities to gain competitive edge and challenges for companies around the world, making it important for companies to be adaptable. COVID-19 pandemic brings significant pressure, forcing companies to adapt and find new methods to increase their efficiency and effectiveness. One of them is adopting digital training. However, since the adoption of the digital training method, there has been a lack of research into comparing the effectiveness of digital training with conventional training. Therefore, this thesis seeks to evaluate the effectiveness of digital training against conventional training method. So, the research question: how effective is the digital training method of CV Karya Sentosa new employee compared to the conventional training method? The research objective is examining the effectiveness of the induction training using digital learning methods compared to conventional training conducted in class. So, the literature review. First are the training methods. As outlined by Tesler, training involves providing new or existing employee with the necessary skills to effectively carry out their roles. According to Tesler and Yimam, there are numerous methods for training. For example, on-the-job training, job instruction training, and electronic performance support system. Next is the Kirkpatrick model. Kirkpatrick model are tools used to evaluate the efficacy of training within an organization. It is used to evaluate any style of training, whether it's formal or informal. As outlined by Aslamah and Kalninan and Smith et al., Kirkpatrick model have four-level framework encompassing reaction, learning, behaviors, and results. Next is the 5S culture of CV Sentosa. The 5S culture, implemented by CV KHS, is a program designed to instill a culture of organization and care in both facilities and the workplace. It consists of 5 activities: Seiri, Seiton, Seiso, Seiketsu, and Shizuke. This 5S culture will be the subject of the material exam to gather the data for this thesis. And lastly is the learning theory. First is a behaviorist learning theory. It focuses on changes in behavior as a result of experience. It emphasizes the importance of measurement to determine behavior changes. The learning process is a passive process, with the learners acting as passive participants. Behavior and responses are developed through methods such as drill and repetition. Next is the constructivist learning theory. It focuses on how people build their knowledge through personal experience and reflection. The learning process is an active process where learners actively question, explore, and evaluate what they already know. It encourages students to engage in active learning methods, such as experiment and real-world problem solving. Lastly is the hypothesis for this thesis. Based on the background and the literature review, the hypotheses for this thesis are: the digital training method is more effective than conventional training method. Next is the research method. First are the research type and design. This research uses qualitative research approach in evaluating the effectiveness of employee training at CVKS. The data analysis use weighted average rate in which the test result of each group will be averaged and compared. For the research setting and time, the setting of this research will be conducted at CVKS. The time of the research will be implemented in February of 2024 with a timetable of 1 month. For the population ensemble, the criteria of the research population is a senior high school education background, age range 18 to 17 years old, male gender, passes CVKS selection, and applying for operator position. The sample will be 40 participants divided into 2 groups, digital training group and conventional training group. The sampling used randomized design to minimize selection bias and ensure comparability of groups. For the data collection and research instrument, the data of the research will be collected using material exam for new employee of CVKS. The exam will be conducted over a period of 1 month. The data collection are conducted an in-class exam where participants of each group tested using material exam before and after treatment. The material exam will take the form of multiple questions examining the material comprehensive of the participants. For the data analysis method, the research will be conducted using quantitative research approach. The quantitative data collection method will be used to gather the necessary data from both training groups. The quantitative analysis of the data will be conducted on the marks of both the digital training group and conventional training group. And lastly, for the company profile, KHS is a privately owned company specializing in the manufacture of agricultural machinery. It was established as a simple workshop, which grew into the biggest national private company. It exports its product to 16 different countries in Africa and Oceania, and it also engaged in collaboration with Kubota Corp, a Japanese-based company. And next is the data analysis. For the data description, the research will be carried out during the entry test of new employees of Quick in the year of 2024. In total, there are 67 participants, with 33 participants in the digital training and 34 participants in the conventional training. The conventional training and tests will use paper-based tests in classroom setting. The digital training and tests will be conducted through Google Form. The training is conducted as a selection test for operator level of employee of KHS. The material tested will be focused on 5S of KHS. For the data demographic, in summary, the majority of the conventional training participants are male with education from vocational high school across special region of Yogyakarta and Central Java province. For the digital training participant, it has a similar characteristic with the conventional training participants. Next is the hypothesis testing. First are the t-tests. So the t-test showcase a significant difference between the test result of digital and conventional test group. The mean of the digital test group is 26.91, while the mean of the conventional test group is 47.79. The mean difference of each test group is 20.885, which is quite significant. It can be concluded that the conventional test group has higher average test score than the digital test group. Next are the ANOVA tests. So the ANOVA analysis also showcases a significant difference of post-test average score of the digital and conventional training test group. Based on the descriptive statistic of the test, the average post-test score of the digital training group is much lower than the average post-test score of the conventional training test group. It can be concluded from the ANOVA test that the conventional training method are better compared to the digital training method, due to the higher post-test score of the conventional training test group when compared to the average post-test score of the digital test group. And now for the discussion. The t-test and ANOVA test shows that the test result of the digital training is lower than the test result of the conventional training. This showcases a hypothesis that the digital training is more effective than conventional training is false. It should be noted that based on the company standard, the test result of both pass groups passed the standard, but fall short when compared purely by test result. Therefore, an interview was conducted in order to find the root cause. The interview was conducted with 18 participants who passed the training process from both groups and chosen randomly. And now for the discussion of the interview result. There are 6 aspects chosen for the interview, which include module, methods of learning, the test, facilities and infrastructure, facilitators and trainers, and lastly, participant and characteristic. Interview of the result conclusion. In summary, from the interview of the digital and conventional training participant, there are no significant difference on the aspect of modules and method of learning, with the difference between each aspect lower than 10%. The test aspect didn't reveal much insight into the difference between because it only asked the participant on how difficult the test was. However, there are significant difference on the facilities and infrastructure aspect and also the aspect of facilitator or trainer. So on the facilities and infrastructure, there are 56% average difference between conventional and digital training participants of the facilities and infrastructure aspect. The digital training participants often face problems related to the gadgets, facilities, infrastructure, and internet connection during the digital training and tests. As mentioned by Pepper, the issues faced by the participant in terms of facilities and infrastructure isn't uncommon. Participants had to deal with technical problems that arise from poor internet connection and infrastructure issues. In the aspect of facilitators and trainer, there are significant 40% average difference between conventional and digital training participants. The significant differences are related to the weakness of the digital training itself. Online training have limited communication and interaction compared to the conventional training, face-to-face teaching, and timely feedback. So, based on this, in the Indonesian study culture, it can be concluded from the facilitator and trainer aspect that the lower average score of the digital training shows that the study culture in Indonesia are still unsuited for digital teaching, hence the title for this part. According to Nasser and Pervin, digital training requires self-motivation and self-management. Without it, students will fail at the online training. In conventional training, self-motivation and self-management are provided externally. In digital training, students are forced to study independently, isolated from peers with limited and delayed communication with their trainer. This lack of interaction and engagement lowers the digital training student motivation, which results in worse self-management. This results in lower score compared to conventional training. So, conclusion and recommendation. In conclusion, this thesis is written with the hypothesis that digital training method is more effective than conventional training. However, the results of the research shows that digital training average score are lower than the conventional training average score, which shows that the hypothesis is false. It can be concluded that conventional training is more effective than digital training based on purely on score comparison. Limitation. The subject of the thesis are potential employees applying for operator-level position. The exam material and difficulty needed to be adjusted for the operator level. Therefore, this thesis can be used to generalize the effectiveness of digital training compared to conventional training in general. Recommendation. First, the author recommends the company to improve on the material delivery of the digital training by dividing the materials into smaller segments to avoid overwhelming the participants. Also, based on the participant feedback, the author also suggests creating video from materials to enhance training engagement. Second, the author suggests KHS to develop its own digital infrastructure to address the infrastructure issues. This will alleviate the company reliance on third-party systems and simplify access and transfer of training and testing data. Third, it's recommended for future research should explore the effectiveness of digital training across different employee levels. Since this study are only focused on operators, broader research will provide more data for a general understanding of how digital training compares to conventional training. Fourth, it's recommended for CVKS to implement blended learning, combining digital and conventional methods to address digital training shortcomings, particularly on participant engagements. That's all for me. Thank you for your attention.